Welcome to Energy Linguist, a sacred space for awakening souls ready to learn how language shapes consciousness and discover what energy has been speaking all along. I am Laura Ahern, the Energy Linguist, a spiritual channel and the founder of Linguistic Consciousness Studies. In this podcast, I share divine transmissions and teach you to decode the language shaping your consciousness so that you can heighten your intuition, claim your calling, and learn to create consciously instead of unconsciously. Take a breath. This is where unconscious creation becomes creative mastery. Welcome to Energy Linguist Podcast. I am your host, Laura Ahern, and I am extraordinarily excited to be with you today because of the powerful message that is coming through in the collective, that right now is our opportunity to expand into a higher awareness, to expand our consciousness, so that we can truly break the mold of what we have been accepting and experiencing in our lives. Thank you so much for being here for this message today. The truth that's coming through for you to receive today is that you have been living in a state that has been normalized. And this state is extremely out of sync with true harmony. And we're not talking about this kind of concrete idea of harmony per se, but a specific organic harmony that is meant for you in your life and your own experiences. One of the most powerful experiences I've recently had that has awakened this message for you to receive today was going to the Redwoods for the women's retreat that I hosted. Many of you who maybe have visited the Redwoods before understand that the Redwoods is one of the highest frequencies that exists on this planet. And when we enter into that space, our bodies, our minds, our spirit feel it. It registers it as different. And for those of you who have given yourself the gift of spending more time in the Redwoods than just a quick visit, but actually staying overnight and reacclimating yourself to the vibration, you know that much starts to change within your being when you exist in that frequency. What's extraordinary about this is that when we first entered into these sacred redwoods for this retreat, the experience was unbelievable. In fact, as I drove through the redwoods and we kind of came out of them onto this coast and we're looking at the Pacific Ocean as it met the redwoods, the only thing that came out of my mouth was the word unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Because my mind just couldn't wrap around the idea that a place like this exists on the planet. And it felt like we had literally jumped into a spaceship and been transported to a different planet. And the truth is that we were on this planet. We were in this time. This is something that exists here and now, and yet it felt so absolutely foreign to what we're used to. And through this heightened awareness, Divinity started showing me this really important message that is meant for you today. The Redwoods didn't feel like another planet because they were strange. They actually felt that way because it's something that our nervous system has forgotten. That vibration, that frequency, and the irony of how foreign it felt exists in the truth that It's the original vibration. This is the way that the world once was. The entire planet existed in this frequency. And all those that existed on this planet were also in the harmony of this balance, this power, this regeneration. We existed in a way in which not only did our physical bodies and our minds and spirits move differently, but literal time moved differently. And this is important to point out. Yes, because the Redwoods are a gift that you should give yourself to go spend some time in, but also because it's a great metaphor for what we have created and what we expect within the boundaries of our own world. The Redwoods themselves were not foreign. In fact, they were the original, and our systems recognize it as such. They existed, and they still exist within us. And the truth is that the harmony that we're seeking in our lives, the balance, the flow of perfect timing still exists within us. It's a construct, it's an architecture of truth that exists within our system. So long after man constructed the world, this still exists. And what's interesting is what once registered to us as shock in this physical natural world, now is registered as normal in our being. And what was once our home and our natural state of being suddenly feels foreign. For example, when the world started to lose its natural state by being overdeveloped, there was a shock to us. Our bodies, our minds, our spirit started to adjust so slightly over time to just acclimating ourselves to this new foreign experience. And now the experiences are such that we accept and believe that it's normal to wake up in a world that is completely foreign, constructed, developed. That roads are just a natural part of the world. That nature is the thing that has become foreign. So why are they channeling this message around all of these angles of what is normal and what feels foreign? The reason that this message is so powerful is that this is not just a metaphor for our own experiences, inner experiences in this world, but it's an exact replica of what we're accepting for ourselves in this world. We have literally normalized dysregulation. We've gotten used to the hum of fluorescent lights, the pace of screens, and what then becomes the compression of time, this hyper focus of why we don't have enough, the lack. There's not enough time to do all these things, to be in all these places. And as you even probably maybe feel as I'm saying these words, that vibration gets very amplified and fast and hectic, chaotic. And it's not just a vibration outside of the self, it's a vibration that's being experienced within the self. And the reason that this becomes alarming is because as we've normalized this pace of life, as we've turned what was once foreign and agitating to our system into the normal accepted way of functioning, this dysregulation becomes the baseline against which we measure what feels comfortable and normal. So when I talk about our comfort zone, if you've ever been exposed to any of my teachings, my courses, my trainings, you'll hear me talk of our comfort zone as our familiar zone instead of calling it our comfort zone. Because the truth is, our comfort zone is extraordinarily uncomfortable, especially if we're being honest with ourselves. The baseline against what we are measuring our lives, what we have forced ourselves to accept as the norm, what we've become accustomed to, what we've become quote unquote comfortable with, is truly out of harmony with our peace, with our potential, with our calling. And our interior world, when it's set to this expectation, starts to look at the world through a lens that is distorted, and it begins to expect life to be chaotic, challenging, not enough. And so today, they're bringing through this message of awareness to you, using the beautiful redwoods as a literal example for you to understand that you are living in a world that you're out of sync with. The evidence of you being out of sync with the world is the amount of chronic unwellness that gets experienced in our lives as a collective. The mental unwellness, the emotional unwellness, the relationship patterns, the physical ailments. What we're seeing happening here is a disintegration of our vitality. It's a drain of that vital life energy source. It's communication from our system on all levels that we are operating in deficiency. We have not allowed ourselves to have that time to refuel, to refill, and to come from a place of overflow. Instead, we're constantly fighting with ourselves to try to force ourselves to do more with less, to give more from an empty tank. And instead of fueling ourselves on the ignition and spark that exists for us in this life, instead of fueling ourselves with divinely ignited energy, passion, ideas, creativity, we have normalized coming from a place of fueling ourselves with every last ounce of energy we have, of only allowing ourselves to rest once we're completely depleted. And if we even attempt to rest before being completely depleted, the majority of us are experiencing things like guilt, inner attack through inner judgment, condemnation, telling ourselves that we haven't done enough. We have normalized this experience. We have normalized these kind of lies against ourselves. We have waged war against ourselves by trying to convince ourselves that something must be wrong with me because I just can't seem to find my balance in this dysregulated world. And the truth of the matter is that there is nothing wrong with you. The dysregulation you're experiencing is in connection with the dysregulation of a world that isn't natural for you to exist in. And so what do we do about that? What choice is Divinity providing you with today? Divinity wants you to know that you can reset the parameters on what's normal for your life. First, by understanding that there's choice involved, always, because you are in deep connection with God. God exists within you, around you. God moves for you. And because of this deep connection that you have with Source, you are in constant co-creation. Your choices express to God what you expect. And the universe meets you in that moment of expectation. It's miraculous when we choose to create, whether consciously or unconsciously. And this matters in this message of normalization today. Because when you look at the root meaning of the word normal, what we start to discover is that from Latin norma, it was known as a carpenter's square. It was a tool for measuring right angles. And what we now call normal is literally whatever we have been using as the measuring instrument. If we choose to change the instrument, then everything recalibrates. And so it's really important to understand that normal is a setting of perspection, of how you're perceiving the world. And what you choose to normalize, what you choose to make natural in your life is up to you. When you look at the root vibration of the word nature, it means to be born. And at its root, this energy of to give birth, to beget, to bring forth. This root word, root vibration of the word nature, actually in its Proto-Indo-European, is Gina. And Gene is one of the most generative roots of that language. And from it comes native, innate, genuine. All of the energies that carry belonging to one by birth, being born with, the original birth. And I share this today to help you come into a deeper inquiry around what is your true nature. What are you choosing as your true nature? What have you normalized as your true nature? And is that maybe what's in the way of you feeling at harmony within your own being? In its roots, when the Romans used the word nature, natura, they weren't describing forests and rivers. What they meant was the essential quality of a thing as it was born, as it is. Its character, its construction, its inherent order. What this word, nature, is pointing to is your original architecture. This word, in its essence, was the principle of becoming, the blueprint of where you can grow to become harmonized and balanced, whole within your life. You, in your natural state, are meant to be the force that unfolds according to your own inner coherence, your own inner logic. This is how a seed becomes exactly what it was always meant to be. Each seed has encoded in it the information that tells it what it's becoming. And you, as a being, also have that seed. It's what I call your unique vibrational blueprint encoded in you that instructs what you are becoming. And when we look to this world that is extremely dysregulated, extremely out of sync with what we are, and we try to force ourselves to become something that matches this mold, we choose dysregulation. We choose abandonment of the self. We choose chronic suffering. And we do it unconsciously without ever knowing it. Because when you look around to the behavior of other humans, what we conclude is that there's something wrong with us and that it's normal to function in this world in this way. And it couldn't be further from the truth. Today, God is granting you an opportunity to come into the choice of deciding what your natural state is. Maybe closing your eyes, going into meditation, to ask for guidance, awareness, and clarity on what that true inner architecture is for you. What is that seed within you? That unique vibrational blueprint within you, communicating that you are meant to become. And then identify in what ways you have allowed your natural state to work against that truth. In what ways have you been fighting your natural being, fighting what wants to rise from within you? It's a powerful message today because through your choice, you can change what you've been accustomed to. The etymology of the word accustom in its Latin roots means to make one's own through habit, to actually make it your own through the habit of practicing it. We have wholly made our own what was never ours to begin with. And you can choose through your awareness and your full receiving of today's message to detach from what you have been choosing as normal and to reconnect with the truth of your being, to become accustomed to your truth once again, to start using the proper measuring tool to perceive your life in a way that is not only empowering, but it's liberating. It sets you free from all the limits of what you thought you had to be because you're granting yourself permission to finally be what you are. I hope today that this message blesses you deeply, that you receive this transmission of healing, and that it ignites the divine passion within you to break the mold of what you thought was normal, what you thought was acceptable in your life, and to choose to live in a way that is profound, a way that is organically you. May you be blessed today and always. Namaste. Thank you for receiving these messages with an open heart. If you're ready to trust your intuition, read the energy speaking through your life, and claim the calling waiting for you, it's time to begin with the rise. Through the rise, you can become trained in Honorea Reiki, the first sovereign woman-channeled Reiki lineage in history, and receive a full year of healing, mentorship, and community. Visit lauraahern.com/rise to find out more. Everything you need to know is already speaking to you, and I can teach you to translate it. Until next time, trust what you feel, honor what you know, and watch your language. It's creating everything.